Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the 30% Design public meeting for the Forest Hills Station Improvements Project. My name is Katie Zazera, and I'm the MBTA's Manager of Stakeholder Engagement. I'm joined by Arthur Gillis, who's the project manager, and the rest of the project team to present this information to you. Before we get started, I just want to go over a couple of housekeeping items for this virtual meeting. If we advance to the next slide, please. So this meeting is being hosted over Zoom. It is being recorded and will be posted to the project page following this meeting. And we will be having a question and answer session at the end of the presentation. During that session, you'll be able to use the microphone icon to check your mic and speakers. If you'd like to send us a question, you can use the Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen to submit a written question. You will be also able to request to raise your hand and ask a question verbally if that's what you would like to do. Finally, you may turn on closed captions for this meeting if you'd like to use them to follow along. Next slide, please. I'm now going to hand it over to Arthur Gillis, who is going to go ahead and give you the presentation.
Hi, everyone. My name is Arthur Gillis, and I'm the MBTA project manager for the Forest Hills Improvements Project. Here is the agenda for tonight's meeting. We will proceed with the existing conditions of Forest Hill Station, the project overview, project schedule, and public outreach process. Then we'll open it up for questions and answers. This image is just to familiarize yourself with the station and the surrounding area. In the middle, you'll see the Forest Hill Station and the lower busway. In the lower section of the picture, you'll see the upper busway as well as the Forest Hills parking lot. And at the top of the picture, you'll see the Northwest Head House as well as Southwest Corridor Park. Next slide, please. This is just some of the information about the current state of Forest Hill Station. This image on the left shows a view from the corner of South Street and the Arborway. You can see the station's plaza that is parallel with the Southwest Corridor Park and parts of the bike path. There are three entrances to the station: to the west on South Street, east on Washington Street, and north on the Arborway. The current station was originally built in 1987 as part of the Southwest Corridor project that removed the elevated Orange Line tracks. In 2019, upgrades were performed to the upper busway and Northwest Head House were completed. And because the Casey Arborway project, it triggered the need for continued and now full station accessibility upgrades. If we can move to the next slide, please. This slide shows some of the examples of how the station's aged over the last 35 plus years. The first image on the left shows the staircase located near the corner of Washington Street and the Arborway that goes from the ground level to the lower busway. The next image shows a typical elevator that will be renovated. The third image shows some of the failing roof drains located at the station roof. And as you can see, ice is built up and water is not draining properly. The last image shows the west side of the station near the Blue Bike location. Here, you can see the failing paint, rusting on the exterior beams, as well as failing roof drains. So all of this is to show the original station is showing its age and doesn't keep up with all of the other great upgrades the station's seen over the last few years. Next slide. So what's our plan? This slide will focus on the project overview. On the left, you can see additional pictures of the station's current conditions: aging entrance doors and brick paving that's heaved, aged wayfinding signage. The interior ceiling and skylights appear old and rusty. The information kiosk is not up to ADA standards. This project has a design contract. It's been awarded to AECOM for $6.84 million. The project will complete the following tasks: create a new stair and elevator connection between the upper and lower busways, replace the existing elevators and entrance doors, regrading and paving of the lower busway to improve accessibility, upgrading the life safety systems that include fire alarms and other protections, repairing the roof and station exterior, and improving lighting and wayfinding signage. Next, we have a visual of one of these actions. Next slide, please. As mentioned before, we're planning to create a new connection between the upper and lower busways with a staircase and elevator. In talking with users, many have expressed complaints of how long it takes to get between the two areas, which cause people to miss their bus connections. If you were to move from the upper to lower busway right now, you travel approximately 450 feet. This new connection will reduce that distance to around 130 feet. The staircase and elevator will be located in the southeast corner of the station between the upper and lower busway, near the Hyde Park Ave parking lot. Next slide, please. This slide provides some information about the project process. The design contract was awarded to AECOM in 2020, and we spent the last year building up to this 30% presentation. This year, in 2022, we'll be working towards the 75% design, and by early 2023, we expect to complete the project design. After we've reached 100% design, we'll begin the next steps to move toward the construction phase. Next slide. Public engagement has and will continue to be an integral part of this process. In the fall of 2021, our project's outreach team held 6 engagement events at the Forest Hill Station to inform the public about this project. This was in addition to the project information posters that are still located throughout the station. We also had a multilingual survey that was available in English, Spanish, Haitian Creole, and simplified Chinese. The survey asked questions related to existing conditions about the station and helped guide our process in what station users desire for station improvements. For this meeting specifically, we placed notifications in local newspapers, MBTA advertising spaces, flyered the nearby neighborhoods, and had our outreach team at the Forest Hill Station this past week informing users of this meeting. Excuse me. Next slide. On the right, you can see a photo of our outreach team from one of the station engagements. We plan to continue holding in-person virtual public engagement options for this project and to provide project information in multiple languages to ensure people can continue to learn about the project in ways that meet their needs and comfort levels. The public meeting will take place after we've reached 75% design and is anticipated to be completed in the summer of 2022. The project website is www.mbta.com/foresthillsimprovements.com. And if you have any comments that you'd like to share with us, you can always reach the project team at foresthills@mbta.com. With that, this is the end of my presentation, and we can move into the questions and answers portion of the meeting. Katie?
Thank you so much, Arthur. So now we're going to go ahead and shift into the question and answer period. If you'd like to ask a question verbally, you can click the raise hand at the bottom and I will call on you and give you access to the microphone. You can unmute yourself and we'll go ahead and hear your question. If you prefer to write it, you can type on that Q&A box and I will go ahead and read your question or comment out loud. And just a quick note, when you go to leave this meeting, a survey will pop up. If you wouldn't mind taking a couple of minutes to complete it, the input is really helpful to us in the development of this project. So at this point, I'd like to go ahead and formally open this up to question and answer. So please go ahead and raise your hand if you'd like to make a comment. I do have one written comment that I'm going to go ahead and read from Jessie Welty that says, "This is wonderful. Forest Hills is my primary station and the 2 items on my wish list were a non-leaky roof and a more direct upper-lower busway connector." Thank you for your comment, Jessie. We're very excited to be able to do that as well. Marcus Baker asks, what improvements are planned for the commuter rail platform? Arthur, do you want to tackle this one?
Yeah, hi, Marcus. So we're looking at replacing the tactile edge or adding tactile edge strip, and we're looking at an area of rescue assistance down at the end of the platform. The platform is extremely long and currently there's only 2 exits to get off of the station platform. We're looking at replacing lighting down there to make it a little bit brighter. It is a darker area of the station. And we're also looking at upgrading the wayfinding signage. Also, part of this project, a large part of it, is accessibility, and we'll be replacing the elevator going down to the commuter rail station.
All right, great. Sebastian Liu asks, has the team considered the possibility of being able to push for the dates closer? That way construction can begin by early 2023 and designed ending by the end of this year. Arthur.
Hi, Sebastian. Yes, we've looked at compressing the schedule, and we do have a fairly aggressive schedule. I think we're looking to release the project. Currently, we're looking for funding for construction. But right now, the project should be ready for design to be released in very early 2023, which would give a contractor a good amount of time to prepare for a spring start, which we feel is probably the best time to start this project.
All righty, I see a couple of raised hands. So Dennis Kirkpatrick. We can unmute him so he can make a comment.
Hi, sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Wonderful. Thank you for the presentation here. It seems like it's some very much needed improvements. It's a pretty old station, although personally, I date back to the one before that. I did want to make a recommendation here. I participate in the MBTA's Riders Transportation Access Group, and I actually found out about this meeting by accident. So I would like to encourage the design team and whoever's responsible to contact the folks at MBTA and at the Boston Center for Independent Living that help facilitate the RTAG group. There's plenty of time between now and the completion of design. I would recommend a presentation specifically to that group because they specialize in people with ADA access issues, as well as seniors with mobility issues like myself. And that was pretty much it.
Thank you for your comments, Dennis, and that's a really great suggestion. And so we will definitely make sure to reach out to RTAG and BCIL going forward. Thank you. I see another raised hand, Matthew Moran. I just saw it go down, so I'm not sure if there's still a comment there.
I see Matthew's hand is back up, so I'm going to unmute
There
him.
we go.
Or
Thank
he
you.
can talk.
Yeah, for some reason it wasn't allowing me to unmute, but either way, thank you very much. My name's Matt Moran. I work for the Boston Transportation Department, and we have been excited to partner with the T on a number of projects in and around Forest Hill Station, the Rosendale bus lanes, the Arborway Yard, which is currently being looked at for bus improvements. We're also hoping to begin coordinating with the Transit Priority Team on Hyde Park Ave and some important multimodal enhancements that could happen there, obviously worked out through a community process. This is, I think we sort of just found out about this meeting as well by happenstance. So it might be good to sort of coordinate with folks from BTD and Public Works and just make sure that sort of we are in full alignment on this project and the other projects that are happening around the station. Obviously, very excited for all these improvements, but it would just be good to have that sort of coordination with the city agencies.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for your comment. We have a couple of written ones. So let's start with this one from Arjun Mudan. It says, I know this might be out of scope, but are there any plans for examining any of the pedestrian crosswalks approaching the station? I live south of Ukraine Way, and it's always stressful crossing to the station. So Arthur.
Lou, I'm going to ask for you to jump in because I know there's a little bit of station crosswalks, but I think it's really limited within the MBTA property. Lou, if you could step in and just add a little bit more to that.
Yes, currently all of the work is taking place within the MBTA property. We are not reaching out into other areas at this point. The Arborway job that was recently completed by MassDOT in 2019 addressed many of the crosswalks along the Arborway and in neighboring streets with the rebuild. But this project is MBTA property centric, where we're doing all the improvements currently within the MBTA property.
Okay, thank you, Lou. Cheryl Windle says, hi, will there be any changes to the landscaping on the Hyde Park Avenue side of the station?
Right now, there's no plans to change any of the landscaping. I think the closest we'll get is to the corner of the station with the staircase heading from the upper, I think it's Arborway down to the lower busway. That granite staircase will be rebuilt, but the only landscaping we'd have there would be anticipated just to bring everything back to standards that would disrupt.
Okay. All right, I see another raised hand, Jessie Welty. I'm not sure, Jessie, if you still wanted to make a verbal, oh, there you are.
I just couldn't get unmuted again. Fargate access to the subway is internally in the station. It runs parallel to Washington Street. Are there any plans when redoing that elevator to provide some access from outside the station on Washington Street rather than from inside the station?
There's not. The fare gates would remain where they are.
So you would have to enter the station to get onto the subway. You
Correct.
couldn't access directly from Washington Street. Okay.
No.
All right, a couple more written comments. Claire Sokolowski, missed the presentation. Are there renderings or images of the post project? We do have within the presentation some renderings, particularly of the new connection between the upper and lower busway. And again, this presentation along with the recording of this meeting are going to be posted to the website following this meeting. So you'll be able to download them and flip through them so you can see them. An anonymous attendee, how will the revamping of the station affect service?
Well, appreciate the question. All the construction will be phased to minimize any impact to customers and ridership. We're looking at quite an extensive amount of work inside the station, including elevators and elevator updates. So work would be sequenced to maintain some level of elevator to each location, be phased. There'd be some night work that would take place and off hours work. But the goal would be to minimize impact to the customers. And really that would take place through phased construction.
Okay. I do not see any raised hands or additional written comments. So I'll just give it another minute if anyone else has a comment. All right, I see a new one that came in. This comes from another anonymous listener. Can we speak a little about funding? Sounds like we haven't secured it. What sources? So I can speak to this one a little bit and we can get back with more specific details. This project is fully funded for design and has some funding for construction. I don't think we can speak to particulars tonight, but I will certainly make sure to get back to you. If you could maybe send us your contact information so I can get you a better answer to that question. Okay. Any other comments again? All right, we have a couple more coming in. So Charlotte Fleetwood, would it be possible to add the commuter rail status to the real-time schedule boards? Arthur.
I'm assuming that's during construction, you'd want to see that.
I want to, Charlotte, if I could ask to clarify, and feel free to type in, are you looking for the real-time boards in addition to the orange line having it say when commuter rail will be popping up? Yes, okay. So that's something that's a little outside of this project, but that's something that I can take back to our team that manages the digital boards. And again, that's something I can get back to you on. Sebastian, will there be a future meeting in regards to updates on funding and design progress? Yes. This project will host another public meeting when we hit the 75% design milestone. And so at that point, we should know a lot more, particularly about the construction funding, which I know is a big question. Michael Reiskin, how long, number of months or years have the roof drains been blocked? Arthur.
That's a tough question to answer. I'm sure over the years, they continue to get more and more blocked. The way they're installed is really not up to current design standards. They're installed embedded in concrete columns, so they become extremely difficult to clean out, and they rust. There's no way to maintain them. It's been like that, I think, based on what I saw, quite a while. And it's a combination of the construction standards they used 40 years ago compared to what we'd redesign today. Would plan on making something that's more serviceable, easier to get to with better quality materials to make it so they wouldn't rot like the current ones that we have up there now.
Thank you. All right, I'm just going to look and see if we have any more comments coming in. So if you have any other comments you'd, okay, so Bernard Doherty has his hand raised. So if we could unmute him to speak.
Bernard, you're unmuted. You can go ahead and speak.
Hello, can anybody hear me?
Yep.
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi, good to be. My name is Bernard Doherty. I'm presently the chair of the Jamaica Plain Neighborhood Council and also the chair of the Askew Mountainwood South Street Neighborhood Association, which is directly across from the MBTA station. What I want to talk about is, I think it's great what you're going to be doing. Obviously, the station needs to be refurbished and brought more up to date, and I agree with all of the comments that are made here to get this through. Obviously, we'd like a little more information regarding the period that's going to take place for design, and in 2023 when we finally get this project on the go. And I thought I heard that the gentleman who was given the thing say that you're still looking for funding. Aside from that, I would like to say that us giving this notice yesterday by having somebody tape it to my handrail going down my stairs here on 36 Astiga Road is not the way we want to really be getting something. And you speak about these 6 in-person surveys you had. This is the first I've heard about these surveys. I don't know about other people in the community, and I don't remember seeing anything on the neighborhood council agenda with these type of items being on it. So I would hope that you would beef these up, especially for the communities that immediately surround the station. Put aside the issue of these repairs that have to be made done. But from our perspective, it's also one of tranquility and dealing with what's happening in the community and quality of life issues. So I just want to call that to your attention and make sure that we are fully involved, and also we are able to talk when the project does get underway, what the hours of construction or work will be, and whether there will be work on weekends and stuff like that. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for your comments, Bernard. And yes, we definitely want to make sure the community is involved and very aware of what is going on with the project. As we get closer to construction, we will make sure that you and the rest of the surrounding community are in the loop as far as what we plan for work hours and what types of noise to expect once we get closer to scheduling the actual construction. Again, I'm just looking around to make sure I don't miss anybody here. So if there's a comment you would like to make, raise your hand or feel free to pop it in the Q&A box so that we can address it for you. Greg Zeltz, I see your hand raised.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I
Hi,
can.
Greg. Yep.
Perfect. So I admittedly don't really live near Forest Hills, but I do live upstream on the Orange Line near Malden. And I'm just wondering if there's going to be any adjustments or expected changes to the Orange Line service as a whole going towards Forest Hill or going towards Oak Grove based on the construction.
So Arthur, do you want to speak to any service
Yeah,
interruptions?
absolutely. So we're very early in the process with design, but with any type of impact to ridership would be limited. Like I say, anything, again, Forest Hills is at the end of the line, so we don't anticipate any upstream delays or problems. Again, job would be phased to minimize impact to customers.
Oh, thank you for that.
Sure.
Right. Looking, I don't, oh, I do, a new written comment. Michael Reiskin says the community outreach for the 25% design has been so poor. I think we need to have another public meeting at 40 or 50% design. Thank you for your comment, Michael. This is the 30%, and we do plan on coming back when we hit our next key milestone, which is the 75% design. So we will be holding a public meeting at 75%. All right, any other written or verbal comments?
Hello? This is Bernard Doyle. Can you hear me again?
Yes.
Yes, I just want to say that in relation to Michael's comment with the review occurring before the 75% design, we've been through this quite a few times. I've been through it when they built the first station down there, as this community here had to. So I would say that the 75% area where you want to have the meeting is unacceptable to me, and I think it'll probably be unacceptable to the community because we'd like to see things when it's around the 50% mark. So I strongly endorse Michael Reiskin's effort in this manner. And as I say, as a chair of the neighborhood council, we will push for that because we believe the more informed the people are in the community, the better the project will be. We're not looking to get in your way. We're simply saying we need to understand because we are partners with you because we live with it. And we want to make sure that whatever happens down there is in the best interest of all parties. Thank you for your attention.
Yes, thank you, Bernard. And again, that's something we can definitely consider as a pre-75% engagement. All right, Jessie Welty. What is the expected capacity of the upper-lower bus connector and how was it determined? The stairway seems narrow in the mock-ups, but I can see a lot of people moving up and down it daily. So Arthur, I don't know if you want to take a stab at this one.
Yes, so Lou, I think it's best you jump in and you'd have the numbers that the capacity that the stairway and elevator would be able to handle. If you can jump in, Lou.
Yep. Okay, sorry, I had to get my mute button off there. So the way we sized it is we actually did conducted a simulation of pedestrian movement currently, how it moves through the building and what would be projected. Based on that information, we looked at how what kind of improvements could be made. So the stair right now is sized to accommodate the various buses that come there at between to the various stops. There's 4 bus stops on the lower busway positions. And we size the stairs to basically double that capacity. So the stairs right now are designed, I believe, to be about 10 feet in width. And that should be sufficient to allow people to move freely up and down the stairs. The elevator is sized as a regular MBTA elevator for what we use in our stations. So it's something that we'll assess one more time, but we believe we have sufficient capacity for that lower upper busway stair to serve the people who will be using it.
Okay, a follow-up to that, Lou. Do you mean double when combined with existing stairs or double on its own?
No, double on its own. There is currently no stair that exists directly between the lower and upper busway. There are 2 stairs that currently serve the lower busway to the main station. They're located on each side of the current existing elevator that provides access from the lower busway up to the station level. This particular addition to the station will be a direct connection between the lower and upper busway with a covered exterior stair and an elevator that will provide direct access between, again, the lower busway and the upper busway deck.
Okay. And a follow-up to that, Lou, is the riders on the number 38 route will be very grateful. I see a raised hand, Sarah Biermann.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I don't know how to do this. I have 3 little territories to ask about, and they aren't at the high level of construction, but I did move here while the new station was being built, just in time to be told I would have rats because everybody had them because the station was being built. So it's been fun since then. However, I wonder, is there going to be something that will really keep track of the station clock, so that when the time changes, that clock will be accurate, or when something goes wrong, it will be corrected? It's been disconcerting. That's one thing. And another question I have, is there going to be any kind of community participation in terms of artwork or anything in the interior? And will we be apprised as to what landscaping will happen on the outside? And can we participate in how that works? I'm sure you're going to do something out there, or maybe you're not going to do anything out there. I don't know.
All right, so let me, I can speak to the first 2 a little bit, and then I'll turn it over to the design team for the last piece. So as far as your questions about the clock, I believe it is maintained by our operations team. So I will take that comment back, and if I can get some clarity on that to send you, I certainly will. As far as the artwork, Arthur, to clarify, is artwork part of the scope for this project on the inside of the station?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Okay.
So, and then as far as landscaping with the project, Arthur, what is that component?
Yeah, so with landscaping, there's very, very minimal impact to the outside of the station. As I said, really the only heavy impact will be at some grading down at the lower busway, which would be just the pavers or the trip and fall hazard. So that would be everything limited to within the curb to the station itself. We're putting a new staircase and elevator from the lower and upper busway. There'll be impacts. There's if I remember right, there's a couple of planting beds there that'll be removed. I don't know. We're not far enough into the design to see if we'll be able to maintain some of them. And I'll have Lou jump in after I'm done with that. But also we have the staircase that goes from Arbor Way down to the lower busway. We'll be resetting the pavers, well, the brick stair, I'm sorry, the granite stairs there. But again, that will be held within the limits of the abutments. So I don't anticipate any landscaping there. The only place I'd see any would be over at the lower, the elevator between the lower and upper busway. Lou?
Yes, that's correct, Arthur. The area that we will have some landscaping enhancements will be once we get the lower to upper busway building constructed. There is some planting beds in that area that will be addressing with some planting But that would be the extent of the scope of the planting on the project.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so going back to some written comments here for a second, Sebastian Liu and John Phillips also commented that they are in support of another public meeting at the 50% design mark instead of waiting until 75%. Claire Sokolowski asks, will anything be done about the upper busway roof shell? The current design amplifies announcements and voices from underneath into the lower Astico neighborhood. It is quite disruptive during all hours of the day, and this is a difficult to manage situation.
All right, so in our contract, we don't have, we won't be touching anything in the upper busway. The only connection we have would be the elevator and stairs going from lower to upper.
Okay. Carrie Ann Knudsen says, it appears the survey at the website for this project is already closed. Will there be another chance for commuters and residents to provide feedback? So yes, Carrie Ann, we will be conducting more surveys following this public meeting and throughout the design process. You are also always welcome to email foresthills@mbta.com with any comments that you have, even if a survey isn't currently open. That inbox is regularly checked by the design team. Okay, just gonna check and make sure we don't have any other existing questions. I do not see any raised hands. And I do see a comment from Jessie Welty, not relating to this meeting, but could I pass along the need to improve the Hyde Park at Tower Crossing? I like it not to be at grade, but I know that is unlikely to ever happen. There has been some way to make it easier and safe. There has to be some way to make it easier and safe to access the station from the east side of the station. Yes, Jessie, I can certainly take that comment back. Okay, I'll give one last call for any additional comments. Dana Bush, I see your hand raised.
I'm not seeing her in the attendee list anymore. She might be gone.
Okay.
Hello, hello. This is Bernie Doherty again.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Could we get some information as to who the project manager is and phone numbers we could call for issues we might have during this process?
So Bernie, I would suggest for this project, again, we have the project email, and then feel free to reach out to me. I can pop my email in the chat as well to take in any comments. And again, as we go through the design and then construction process, once we get closer to construction, where I'm sure there'll be a lot of close coordination, we'll make sure that you have contact information for the people who can walk you through things.
I would appreciate that, and I think the community would appreciate it also. Thank you very much, Kathy. Appreciate it. But Kathy, what is your title in this whole endeavor?
So I am the manager of stakeholder engagement for capital programs at the T.
Boy, somebody must have paid a lot of money for that title.
I wish.
Paid by the letter. But anyway, Kathy, thank you very much. And thank you all to everybody else. Thank you.
You're very welcome. So again, one last call for comments. All right, well, with that, I think we're going to go ahead and close the meeting for tonight. We really appreciate all of you for attending and all of your feedback. Again, for up-to-date information on the project, go to mbta.com/foresthillsimprovements. And as always, any comments you may have along the way, foresthills@mbta.com is a regularly checked inbox for this project. We really appreciate your time, and we hope you have a great evening.